Welcome to the course EN5101 Fundamentals of Management. Then in this subject the first lesson is Introduction to Management. Then each lesson has learning outcomes. Then let's look into the learning outcomes of this first lesson to define management, to know the process of management, and to identify skills, types and roles of managers. Last, you should be able to know how to be a new manager in this modern business world. That means at the end of this lesson, you all should be able to deal with these learning outcomes, right? Then one by one, we have to discuss the areas considered under each learning outcome. Then first we have to define management. Management has been defined by many scholars in different ways, but we have selected here the DAFT 2012 work. According to DAFT, management is the attainment of organizational goals in an effective and efficient manner through planning, organizing, leading and controlling organizational resources. Then things in this definition should not be memorized, but the important point is you should be able to keep the keywords in mind, keywords of this definition in mind. Then some of the keywords in this definition are definitely management should come, then achieving organizational goals, then effectiveness, efficiency, then the four functions of management process: planning, organizing, leading and controlling. Then last, we can't forget about organizational resources. Then all these keywords should come in defining management, right? Then again we can do that in this way. Management is the attainment of organizational goals in an effective and efficient manner through planning, organizing, leading and controlling of organizational resources. In this definition can be applicable to all settings of management, whatever the business. We have to come to the second learning outcome to describe the process of management. According to this diagram, it has many variables. Mainly we can identify three parts. First one is input parts, then second one is the process part, and the third part is the performance, right? Then under input, as we saw in the definition, organizational resources should be considered in this category. Then there are four types of organizational resources: human resource, financial resource, physical resource and information resource. All these resources should be taken to the organization as its inputs, right? Then these inputs or resources should be converted into the performance through the management functions or the management process. As we noted in the definition, it has four functions: planning, organizing, leading and controlling, right? But we see this process is not a linear process or the one directional process. It is a multi-directional or mutually related process, right? Then when resources are converted, this management process, we see different elements under the performance of the organization. It may be seen as achieving goals of the organization and manufacturing products, delivering services, at the same time achieving the resource efficiency. Finally, the organization should ensure the effectiveness, right? Then let's briefly look at each management function. In planning, the organization or the managers should set goals of the organization, and they should know the ways of achieving these goals, right? That's the simple idea of planning, right? Then in organizing, should come after the planning. Their managers should assign tasks, responsibilities to different people and divisions of the organization, right? That is called organizing simply. Then once things are organized, then managers should be able to get things done from the people or the employees, then that should be done through leading. Therefore, the leading means using the influence of managers to motivate employees and to get things done through them. Right? That is called leading, which is the most important function in management process. Right? Finally, managers should do controlling as well. That means monitor activities and make corrective decisions or reactive decisions to keep the activities on the right track. Right? Then these are the 4 managerial functions discussed under the management process. Right? Then these 3 kinds of elements should work as a system. Then that idea has come from the systems theory of management. Then this management process concept has been backed by the system theory perspective. Then having understood the process of management, now we are going to identify major skills that managers should have. Right? Those skills are, the first one is the conceptual skills, the human skills, the third one technical skills. These major skills have been suggested by Robert Kurtz, one management scholar, Robert Kurtz. Then according to Kurtz, these are the 3 major managerial skills. Right? Then conceptual skills means having the cognitive ability by managers to see the organization as a whole system, holistic system, as well as to see the relationship among different parts of the organizations, organizational systems. Right? That means this ability is to think strategically by managers. Therefore, all managers, especially the senior managers, should have this type of conceptual skills. Right? Second one is very common to all managers. It is identified as human skills. That means ability to work very well with people and to get things through them as a member of the organization or the group of the organization. Then all managers should have these human skills, then only they can be a successful leader. Right? Then coming to the third type of skill, it is named as the technical skills. It means that managers should be able to understand and perform specific operational tasks which are applicable to their own division or their own functional area. Right? But all these 3 kinds of skill should be pertained by all managers to a certain level. Then we will see how these 3 kinds of skills should be relatively important to different kinds of managers and to the employees. This diagram, it presents that. Right? According to the diagram in the below line, there are 4 kinds of respondents or the 4 kinds of participants, namely top managers, middle managers, first line managers and non-managers. But we mentioned that all these groups of managers and employees should have those 3 kinds of skills. But according to this diagram, the importance, relative importance of each type of skill should vary according to the groups of the participants. Taking the first one, the top managers, then these top managers should have more conceptual skills than the human and technical skills. The main reason to say that is the top managers are the drivers of the organization. No? Any organization, the top managers are the drivers. Then definitely they should think strategically and should analyze the environment and to see the relationship among variables of the environment. That's why they need to have more conceptual skills than both human and technical skills. But coming to the middle management level, they should have conceptual skills also to a certain level, but they should more have human skills. Then they should less have technical skills, right. Then coming to the first line managers, so the supervisory managers, they should not have conceptual skills that much, but they need to have more human skills and technical skills to a significant level. The main reason for that is they are the people, supervisory managers are the people who deal with more number of lower level people or lower level non-managers, right. Then coming to the non-managerial category, they need to have less conceptual skills and human skills, but they should more illustrate having technical skills. The main reason is that they are the people, they are the individuals who work with the tasks. Then definitely they should have more technical skills, right. Now we are going to identify different types of managers. Different types of managers of an organization can be identified in two ways. One way is by considering the vertical or hierarchical differences of the organization. As this diagram illustrates, by looking at the vertical differences, we can identify three levels of managers of an organization, namely top managers, middle managers and first line managers. In the previous diagram also we noted, we identified these three kinds of managers. Under the top managers, the diagram has presented or identified two top managerial positions, like CEO position is the first one and the second one is the vice president. These there are many other positions as well, like MD, managing director, chairman. It depends on the organization. In different organizations, these top managerial positions are named in different ways. For example, for an university, the top managerial positions are identified as the vice chancellor position, registrar, bursar, the deans of the faculties. Then likewise, in different organizations, these top management positions are identified in different manner. The others are also same, depending on the organization, those positions should be identified. Then according to the figure, general managerial position, unit heads, departmental heads are the examples given to middle managers, right. Then functional heads and team leader positions are the some positional examples given to the first line managers. Then this diagram presents or identifies the kinds or types of managers following the vertical or hierarchical differences of the organization. Then as I mentioned, the second kind of difference of identifying managers is considering the horizontal differences of the organization. Then according to the horizontal differences, we can identify managers as functional managers, line managers, staff managers, general managers, project managers, right. Then as the functional managers, managers are responsible for departmental functions and to perform the single departmental tasks, and they are responsible to the employees work in that department. For example, we can identify different sections or areas or functions like this way: advertising, sales, or both can be seen in the marketing now today. Then finance department, human resource or HRM department, manufacturing, accounting, and so on. There can be other divisions as well, like information technology, research and development. These are the functional areas that managers can be assigned to perform, right. That is one horizontal difference of an organization to identify types of managers. The second one is the line managerial positions. The line managers are responsible for the primary purposes, so they are directly responsible to the primary purpose of the organization. But normally we consider manufacturing and marketing departments as the line department, but this is not the decision point, but depending on the organization, we can identify the line managerial positions. This is the usual pattern of identifying line managerial departments. Normally, we identify marketing, manufacturing as line managerial departments. Then staff managerial positions should be identified with these departments, finance, human resource, which are working as supportive departments. Then the managers they are identified as staff managers. Then another difference of identifying managers is identifying the general managerial positions. General managers are the managers who are responsible for the different departments of the organization. Not only that, organizations undertake some different projects. Then by looking at these horizontal differences, we can identify today project managers also, which are responsible to coordinate people across several projects undertaken by the organization. Now, after discussing the theoretical points so far, now we have come to the revision questions. I have set 4 questions to cover of the theoretical points discussed so far. Then first question is to define management. Then we should ask the question, what do you mean by management? Then to describe process of management, I have set a question describe the process of management. Then next question is what are the major skills of managers? And also you should be able to answer the question what are the different types of managers. These are the areas we discussed so far. Right, then answers are there, roughly answers have been given by me. Then we can define management as this way. I have given new definition to that. Then by considering the keywords considered in the draft definition, then management is enhancing or improving performance of the organization through planning, organizing, leading and control its resources. Right. But all keywords have been considered. The performance can be considered as achieving goals, manufacturing products, delivering services, and so on. Right. That's how we should define management. Then according to the diagram, the 3 elements should be considered to describe the management process. First, as inputs, there should be resources. Different kinds of resources were noted there as physical resource, financial resource, human resource, and information resource. Then these resources should be converted through management process by planning, organizing, leading and controlling. Then finally, as the end results, the organization should be able to enhance the performance. These 3 kinds of elements should be considered in describing the management process. Then we identified major skills of managers as per the robot cards, the conceptual skills, human skills and technical skills. Conceptual skills is the cognitive ability or conceptual ability of managers to see the organization as a whole and also to see the relationships among its parts. Human skills refer to the manager's ability to work with others and through others. Others means people, right? Then technical skills refer to a manager's ability to understand and perform his or her specific task assigned by the organization, right? But we saw the relative importances of these skills to different kinds of groups, managerial groups and the employee group. Then there we noted that the conceptual skills were highly required to the senior managers or the top managers of the organization. then human skills were relatively equally important to all kinds of managers or the employees, because people should be considered through this skill. Then technical skills were required by supervisory level managers and the non-managers to perform their day-to-day tasks in the organization. Then finally, we identified different types of managers considering vertical as well as horizontal differences. Considering the vertical differences, we identified top managers, middle managers, and lower level managers. Considering the horizontal differences of an organization, we identified functional managers, line managers, staff managers, general managers, and project managers in organizations. Right. Then we have to come to the next part of the lesson to identify managerial roles. These roles have been suggested by the popular scholar Henry Mintzberg. According to that, there are three kinds of roles: interpersonal roles, informational roles, and decision-making roles. Each has sub-roles as well. Then altogether there are 10 managerial roles. Then first category, interpersonal roles means involved in developing and maintaining positive relationship with others who come across by managers. Then under that we identify three interpersonal roles. First one is figurehead role, where managers involve a set of ceremonial activities by representing the position of management or the division or the organization. In attending, inaugural sessions, for example, the manager can represent the organization as the chief guest. Then the leader role, it involves behaviors aiming at building relationship with subordinates by communicating, motivating, and coaching them. Then all managers should play this leadership role, right? Then under the interpersonal roles, the third one is playing the liaison role. It means building and maintaining a network relationship with people inside as well as outside the organization. It is called a liaison role. Sometimes they can communicate, managers can communicate with the people in the larger society, or they can communicate, or they can deliver ideas about the organization to the mass media, for example, right? Then it is a kind of playing liaison role. Then under informational roles, managers should gather or receive information, and they should be transmitted to the divisions of the organization. Under that we see three types of managerial roles. First one is monitor role, where managers should be able to scan the environment and to gather information, and they should keep information in databases, right? Then the information are required. The managers should disseminate or transmit information to the relevant parties to make decisions. Then under spokesperson, managers should be able to disseminate information about his unit by representing it to the outsiders of the organization. That's the difference, Plain spokesperson role, managers should disseminate information to the outsiders from the organization. Then third one, decision-making roles. According to Mintzberg, it presents how to make a choice and to take actions in different situations. Their managers should work as entrepreneurs, through which they should initiate, design, and encourage changes and innovations in the organization. By playing entrepreneurial role, it is highly essential today for all managers. Then by playing disturbance handling role, they should be able to take corrective actions for the unexpected situations coming from the environment. And also managers should work as resource allocators. they should be able to allocate resources like time, people, funds, equipments, etc. among different teams and projects. Right, that is another important role that to be played by manager, resource allocator role. Right. Finally, the manager should negotiate successfully with others. Others means people inside the organizations. They can, for example, production manager can talk about the production budget with the finance manager to get the funds. Then unless such a requirement is successfully negotiated, and the production manager may not be able to adequate funds to process the production. Right. Then all these as a whole can be treated as 10 managerial roles suggested by the famous scholar Henry Mintzberg. Right. We have come to the last point to talk about how to be a new manager in the modern business world. Then a comparison should be done with the points to know how managers were supposed to work in an older workplace compared to the managerial requirements in the new workplace. Then there are 3 subheadings to see the comparison. First one is to know in different forces coming from the environment, but in the traditional workplace we saw the mechanical and very stable forces have come to the workplace, but it is so different now in the modern workplace. The forces are turbulent, very change oriented, diverse, and we should digital environments, and globalization is the main driving force. The modern new managers should be able to work with these modern workforces. Then coming to the second point, the characteristics. Older workplace managers were supposed to deal with the physical assets or the structured and localized setups. But today, modern managers or the new managers are supposed to work with information, knowledge, and they should be more flexible, and they should be able to work with the virtual setups, and finally they should empower people. Then today from new managers, high competencies, new competencies are expected. They should be team players, they should be able to empower people, and they should be more collaborative. But in the traditional workplace, the managers were so autocratic, they had more individualistic focus, and they tried to move with the competition. But today the norm is not the competition but the collaboration. Now we will come to the revision questions of the other part of our lesson. Revision questions number 5 is as we discussed, you should be able to identify the 10 managerial roles. Then after that you should be able to describe how to be a new manager. Right. Then these are the 10 managerial roles as suggested by Henry Mintzberg: figurehead role, leader role, liaison, monitor, disseminator, spokesperson, entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. We should be able to briefly explain each of these. Right. Then this is the way to describe how to be a new manager. Then in the table we noted that we should be able to focus from stabilize to change, and to characterize structure to flexible, and to move from authoritarian to collaborative. Then all these will help manager to perform effectively in the modern workplace. Okay, now we have come to the end of the first session, Introduction to Management of the fundamentals of management course. Right there, we discussed theoretical points as well as we had some revision questions and the answers. Thank you very much.